I'm on the test build today because I want to talk about 5 heroes that I think will be meta in Season 2 based on some of the buffs that they've received. I want to talk about why these heroes are going to be probably in a lot more of your games and what you need to prepare for. Because once these heroes are running amok, not being prepared is going to cause you some, well, unnecessary difficulties, shall we say, because the meta is definitely going to be different. So we're going to start with Peni Parker, and the reason why she's going to be a bit more prevalent and what you need to prepare for when going up against her, right? And the reason for this is based on her 3 buffs that she's received. First being a health buff, an extra 100 health for base health, and this does help her bonus health go up to 900 now instead of 800. So health buff, always nice for a tank, but that's not the main problem. The biggest reason why I think Penny is going to be really strong, and, you know, I do think she's still going to be quite a sleeper pick. I don't think everyone's going to be playing Penny because she's quite a off tank in sense of her role. She doesn't provide the same sort of power as most tanks unless you're like a ridiculous Penny player. But one of the things that she does better than any other tank in the game is her ranged damage, which is specifically good when you're on defense and there's a large sort of bottleneck. The Clintar map is a great example. All of the other tanks don't have range, right? Even Emma Frost, who has a ranged attack, it's max 15 meters, right? And even Doctor Strange has a max distance as well. I think, what is the max distance? 30 meters? Yeah, 30 meters, which is not very far. Like Clintar, for example, there are a lot of instances where you're going to have a longer sight line than 30. And as a tank on defense, you can't really do anything necessarily without just pushing up too far. So yeah, Penny's long range is great. And now she does crit damage. A full auto weapon, long range, crit damage, lovely stuff. So basically, how crit damage works in this game, obviously you get a headshot, you do more damage. Usually it's 100% extra damage. But in the case of Penny, it's not quite that much. I do just want to point this out. So one headshot does up to that line there, whereas 2 body shots will do here. So it's slightly less than 100%, but it's still pretty decent damage. And what's really interesting about this is Peni Parker's bullet size is massive. So if I go like pretty far away, let me just show you what I mean here. If I aim here, it's still going to be a headshot, right? I'm hitting here. By the way, the delay and lag is because I'm on a very high ping server. But if I were to do the same with, I don't know, Punisher, just to kind of bring it home, like this is where I'm actually aiming. This isn't a third-person camera shenanigan going on. This is where my aim is actually hitting at this distance. But Penny's bullet size is just so big that you're going to be clipping them anyway, right? So obviously you don't want to be aiming here, but anywhere in this radius, you're going to be hitting headshots for the most part. So you got a much larger bullet. Hitting headshots is going to be pretty easy. You're going to be doing a lot of damage long range now. And the final buff is basically when she fires, she gets a movement penalty. This has been reduced this season, so she can strafe fairly effectively and still fire, right? It was a bit of a big penalty before, so she's going to be a bit more agile. She's got a bit more health, and she does so much oppressive long-range damage that on any defense map or even domination map, she's going to be really, really strong. So keep an eye out for her. She's going to be a pain to deal with. I'm not really sure what the best solution would be. Probably to play a shield tank and just push up. So the next hero I want to talk about is Rocket Raccoon. Now, you're probably thinking, well, Rocket Raccoon's everywhere in my games at the moment anyway. But the way Rocket's played at the moment is pretty much just, for most players, they'll just hold their heals. They'll get a lot of passive healing, put their ult down occasionally, keep their respawn BRB down, and just shift out of the way when danger comes. So a lot of people believe that this Rocket change is actually a nerf because Rocket's shift, his dash, has a longer cooldown now. It's 10 seconds instead of 6. And the actual distance of the dash is shorter. However, what I think is really important to note about Rocket's abilities going into this new season is he's had a vast overhaul to his healing potential, which actually allows him to be a proper support in some ways. So now, if you get a direct hit with the ball, and what I mean by that is if the healing orb actually touches the player and doesn't just skim past them, you get a large, big burst in HP. And it's really quite a big burst, right? Let's wait for this health to drop down. So his bursty healing is going to be a lot better, and he's going to provide more healing to his team, which means he's just going to be a more efficient support. But his ultimate's changed as well, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about the change, but I do think overall it's going to be more versatile. It now gives you bonus health, 150 max, and if you're in the radius, you're going to do 100 healing a second whilst you take damage. So, obviously, it's a lot less than a normal traditional support, but it still gives you damage. It's less damage now. It was a 40% damage increase, and now it's a 25% damage increase. But basically, he's become a more versatile sort of second support. You still want to go for one of those traditional healing support ults for sure, but his ult, in my opinion, is better now than like Mantis's. It's less healing than Mantis's, but you get the healing and the damage. It's not going to be as good as a Cloak and Dagger and a Luna ult, but I mean, bans are in gold and above now. You're going to see support bans. So sometimes it's like, right, who do I take? Adam Warlock with his nerfed ult? No. Loki. I mean, yeah, Loki's a good pick. But then you have like Rocket Raccoon's ultimate is actually pretty okay for its healing potential now. And I think that going forward, you've got to be more prepared for the fact that that Rocket on the enemy team is going to be providing more active healing, and you're going to need to deal with him. Like, I think with his cooldown on the dash being longer now, and it being a shorter dash, I think it's time to hunt down raccoons. It's raccoon hunting season. We're going to need to make sure this raccoon does not stay alive, because his healing potential is going to be quite considerable. Now, the next buff and hero that I want to talk about is Psylocke. I don't necessarily think Psylocke is going to be super S tier or anything, but you're going to see a lot more Psylocks because of the Emma Frost team up. And this team up is really quite interesting. You've probably seen it online, but I think there's a couple of things to talk about that perhaps you're not really aware of yet, or some people might not be. It's an illusion. It follows your movements and your abilities, right? Now, what you might not know is it actually does deal a bit of damage. And for Psylocke, that's really quite impactful. I'm going to try and showcase and highlight what I mean here. This is how much damage I do on a normal Galactobot, right? Let me do that again. Normal Galactobot hit here. One click. We take it to the B, okay? Right, now let's do that again. But with the illusion up. Look how much we do now. Right? Look at that. That is more damage. So this is how much health you do in 2 shots with an illusion up. Now, if I do that again without the illusion, it is less damage, okay? And you can combo that effectively to do a much faster burst on squishies. And then you can sort of like combo it more effectively. I'm not sure what the best combo is going to be, but I think it's something like you just put your illusion down and you go primary, secondary, and it's enough. Literally just primary, secondary is enough. So there's going to be some interesting functionality to look at there with Psylocke and the best combos. It doesn't do the most amount of damage, but it's just enough extra damage to make her sort of combos become even burstier. So just be prepared for Psylocke's flanking your backline, because they could eliminate your squishies extremely quickly with this. Keep an eye out for that for sure. Now, the next character I want to talk about is Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight has received a number of buffs, and I think he's going to be meta because of these buffs. Moon Knight's already had his time in the meta anyway, but one of the biggest changes to me, I'm just going to talk about it first, is the secondary now gives healing 25 per hit up to 100, and this will give you bonus health. So one hit like this, and you've got bonus health up to 350 in total. And you just need to hit that secondary on a group of 2 players or more, and that's going to be the full bonus health amount. Now, I'd like to point out that one of the reasons why this is so good is because his cooldown on the secondary is only 6 seconds. So let's say you're in a fight, right? And then you just throw this down, and then you got that bonus health, right? To give you a bit more survivability before you can get to your support. And it will tick down like most bonus health, but it's there. It's going to be more sort of persistent than most other bonus health sort of add-ons to abilities because of such it has such a short cooldown. So he's going to be more oppressive. He's going to be in your face more. He's going to be there and taking less breaks outside of fight to have to go and pick up health packs or wait for his healers to heal him. It means that he can hold off angles on height a bit more effectively because of that bonus health. Which is where Moon Knight shines best, right? Now, there are 2 more buffs to Moon Knight that should be noted as well. A lot of Moon Knight players will spend 90% of their time just throwing the Ankh and trying to, hit off that because it's easy to do. But a good Moon Knight player will still try and lead their shots and go for that extra damage you get on the direct hit because it does do a lot of damage. Now, in this latest season, that's going to be easier to do because the projectile speed of this has increased from 120 meters a second to 150 meters, which is still not fast enough to sort of just have pure, you're not going to be able to just aim on target. You will need to lead your shots more, but up close, it's going to allow you to make less mistakes of your aim. There was latency errors there, so that's why that missed. And longer distance, you're going to have less difficulty. You won't need to lead your shots quite as much. So that's going to make it easier to play Moon Knight. His ultimate also got buffed. It's now going to last for 4.5 seconds instead of 3.5 seconds. The damage is more. I think it's 18 talons now instead of 16. So 18 hits. His hands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's kind of hard to count. The number is 18 though. Each one of those will do damage. Now, the further you are from this circle now, the less damage you'll take. So that is quite like a nerf in a way. Well, it is enough, but I think alongside the duration increase and the talent increase, this is going to be overall a buff for Moon Knight's ultimate. So overall, he's just going to be more oppressive in every way this season. Honestly, avoiding the ult's not too hard anyway. It's not like the most shining part of his kit, but his primary and secondary now are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And then finally, we have Iron Man. I still believe Iron Man is vastly underrated, and one of my favorite reasons why is the fact that you can literally deal damage to multiple targets. See how bottlenecks I have when I'm playing Iron Man, and I'm just lasering the whole team, because they're all lined up, right? And you'll shoot through the tank to shoot the support in the back and eliminate them. It's ridiculous. But one of the things that I think is really underrated with Iron Man is his flanking potential and holding off angles. He can fly into spots very quickly that other characters will need to use their cooldowns for. And once he's in that angle, he can hold that off angle very effectively by peeking in and out of cover or using his Omega Overdrive, right? But usually you want to get in that position and you're going to be in a situation where you're somewhat vulnerable. Your healers might not be able to get to you. Now that's not a problem because when you activate your overdrive, you're going to get 100 bonus health, which is just going to give you that extra survivability you need to be more agile, take more off angles, and get the attention off of your sort of main team and create cooldowns for the enemies, and just literally he's going to be a problem. He's going to be so much more powerful with this potential because he can just flank in and out really so much more effectively without necessarily worrying about getting eliminated as easily. 100 at the click of a button is quite a nice amount of bonus health. So that's a look at the 5 heroes that I think are going to be meta and very noticeable in Season 2, so prepare for them. Hopefully the information I provided here will give you a bit of a head start on what to expect when Season 2 launches on April 11th. And if you see a Penny, an Iron Man, a Moon Knight, a Psylocke, or maybe even a Rocket, to be just a little bit extra careful of their abilities. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the comments. Cheerio.